gentlemen, please help us maintain social distancing practices by staying in or within arm's length of your car. If you must exit your vehicle, please keep your mask on at all times. Tune your car radios into 89.7 FM to hear the live broadcast.
Come on, Valdosta, let's let this state know that we're about to win an election.
You know, we're almost completed our task. We got President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. Now, we need to finish our task in making Georgia completely blue. Now, this is Valdosta. This is Wintersville. It's called Wintersville for a reason. Because when those cats are out there on Friday night on that football field, we don't know but one thing, and that's go, Cats, go. Go, Cats, go. Now, we got to put John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock the same way. We got to go, John, go, John, go. Go, John, go. Go, John, go. Go, John, go. We got to vote just like President Obama said, like our lives depended on it. But not only our lives, but our children's lives, and our grandchildren's lives, and our parents' lives. So on behalf of everybody in Georgia, welcome to Valdosta.
Welcome Rabbi Moshe Albaz of Temple, Israel.
Avinu Shebashamayim, dear God, we gather here today in the city of Valdosta in celebration of health, jobs, and justice for all in our great countrymen. As the Jewish community are concluding the Festival of Lights, ending today and about to welcome the Sabbath, we are reminded of your gift, O God, of religious freedom and that each person is created in your image. We come together as brothers and sisters of one Creator to make a positive difference for our community and Tikkun Olam and the repair of the world. And we, God, hope that you pray and strengthen us, and endow us with your gift of grace and compassion. We pray that our great wisdom and understanding be bestowed upon our leaders, especially upon John Ossoff, and to watch and protect those who defend our religious and civil liberties. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Your God who provide peace in the world, bless all of us with grace, loving kindness and compassion. Thank you and amen.
Welcome to the stage, Reverend Bruce Francis of St. Paul AME.
Allow me to take this opportunity to offer thanks to Mr. Marks, to J.D. Rice, and the other organizers for this opportunity. I bring you greetings from the Bishop of the 6th Episcopal District, Bishop Reginald Jackson, my presiding elder, Patrick Brinson. I stand before you as one of the many pastors in this and surrounding communities who have encouraged our parishioners to go to the polls and vote for change. On behalf of the faith community of Valdosta, Georgia, who stand together, I'm humbled to have this opportunity to speak to you today as we have gathered on sacred ground to show our support for John Ossoff, our candidate for U.S. Senate, and Mr. Danny Blackman, candidate for Public Service Commissioner. While our paths didn't cross at the time, John and I both had the honor and privilege to work for the late Honorable John Lewis, a man who represented Georgia and his constituents well. When I look at the position that John has taken on those issues that are important to our community, health, jobs, and most importantly, justice, I am sure that he is the right man to replace Mr. Perdue, who has done nothing to enhance the quality of life for all the people. He has done nothing to enhance the quality of life for all the people he represents. But the record reflects his own quality of life has benefited from his being a senator from the state of Georgia. John, by taking time to come to South Georgia by way of Valdosta, shows us a clear sign that he cares, and he knows that we too have a vote and a voice. So I say to the next senator from the Peach State of Georgia, on behalf of those who want to make a difference, on behalf of our clergy and faith community, when you get to the Senate, make good trouble, make necessary trouble. So run, John, run. Run, John, run. Run, John, run. God bless you.
Please welcome Alma Young with United Farm Workers.
Hello, South Georgia. How are you? So let me start by saying that if somebody would have told me at the age of 16, when I first moved to the state of Georgia, as an undocumented agricultural migrant worker, that 20 years later I will be addressing a wonderful crowd, as an educated Latina who is now a citizen of this country at a political rally of a blue Georgia, I would have told them they were absolutely insane. So again, my name is Alma Young, and in addition to being a member of the South Georgia community, I'm also an educator, an activist, and I'm here representing the United Farm Workers of America, or the UFW. You almost know that living in the red state of Georgia as a member of one of the most disenfranchised groups in our country has not been easy. I am sure a lot of people can relate to my experience of living paycheck to paycheck and somehow being told that it's my fault because my parents should have found jobs other than working in the fields. That instead of being told that my parents, instead, our leadership refused to fight to give farm workers an essential living wage. I was also told that it was my fault that I dropped out of high school because I should have learned English faster and worked harder to keep up with the material, instead of being told that I was pushed out because our overworked and underpaid teachers were unable to support their students. For allowing our visas to expire, that I experienced the trauma of living in constant fear of being separated from my parents. Not that our state leaders refused to support immigration reform while ignoring the sacrifice that immigrants make to support and provide for the people of this country. The working class and people of color keep being excluded from the democratic process, and we keep hearing time and time again that we need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. But our leaders refuse to see that we're walking around barefoot. John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, and Daniel Blackman will make sure that our voices are heard. So please go out and vote. If you already voted, we all must do everything in our power to ensure that we have proper representation at the state and federal level. I know that John Ossoff will do that. On a final note, the UFW has endorsed John Ossoff for U.S. Senate. So please join us to get out the vote, knock doors, make phone calls, and in the words of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, yes we can, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede. Thank you.
You make me smile.
welcome to the stage entertainer and host, Ebony Electra.
Georgia with a message that I'm sure that everyone would love to hear today. First of all, I'm just so thankful that it feels this good down here. That's number one. But number two, and priority to each and every one of us out here, I'll say, you know, there's a time and a place for everything. And there's a season for everything as well. And we're obviously living in a season and the right time, because never in a million years did we think that not only would we get a presidential victory, but turn right around and have another victory waiting to take place and turn those 2 seats blue. This really makes me smile, and it makes me decided to take the ride and continue in this fight to campaign for Jon Ossoff, because at the end of the day, everybody knows that it is time for serious change, and that will only take place. Thank you with the honks, I love it. Keep those horns honking. But it will only take place if we do our part and show up at the polls, not just by ourselves, but with others. It is that crucial. We can't just take our wife. We can't just take our child. We've got to go through our phone books. We've got to knock on doors of people that we know. Because at the end of the day, the fight continues. And the fight is going to continue to the end. But we are the ones who can make all the difference in the world. You think that we're celebrating now. We're going to celebrate so big, so very big on January 5th. You guys have me super excited. You guys have me so excited. And I am really, I say this all the time, I'm passionate about a lot of things, And I will admit, never before have I been extremely passionate about anything pertaining to politics as I am right now, because we are living in a historical moment, and I'm glad to be a part of this history right here. What Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are going to do for America is exactly what we as Americans want them to do for us. I know I'm getting sick and tired of turning on the news and shaking my head at the leadership and the things that are taking place. It is a sad moment. But I will say this, sad moments are short-lived. What we are looking forward to are things that we will remember for the rest of our lives, and what we are going to see take place are memories that we will remember for the rest of our lives by voting for Jon Ossoff. Ladies and gentlemen, this is somewhat of a pep rally. The same thing we would do when we were in high school and in middle school. Take that same enthusiasm as you honk your horns, as you smile at the TV screen. Take those same smiles and all of that enthusiasm and get out to the polls and vote your ass off. Thank you for having me. There are others behind me to speak, to encourage, and to keep that same enthusiasm going. But just remember the words that came out of my mouth today, and remember this electric energy, because we're going to keep this all the way until January 5th. Valdosta, Georgia, I love you and I love your weather, and let's keep this going. So to get the of the vote gave me, a woman of color, the daughter of factory workers, and the granddaughter of sharecroppers, the opportunity to receive a free public education, to earn 3 degrees, to serve my country, and the opportunity to run for state office. In November, your vote turned Georgia blue. Now, we can do it again and take the Senate too. And that's what we have to do. Now, as an Army veteran and an educator, I know how critical it is that we elect John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock to the Senate. We must also elect my friend Daniel Blackman for Public Service Commission. And I want you to honk your horn real good if your utility rates are high. Just honk it good if your utility rates are high. And you know what? On January 5th and before then, we can change that. Because Daniel Blackman is your guy. My friend will make sure that those rates come down, that we can have rural broadband. And that's what I want you to do. So I want to let you know that early voting has already started throughout the state, and we've already broke records on the first day. On the first day, we broke records. And we need to continue to do that every day. We will have our only Saturday voting here in Lowndes County tomorrow from 9 to 4. So make your way to the polls, get your friends, get your family. And all the weeks that follow, voting will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But remember, we have a short voting period because of the holidays. So also get those absentee ballots in. So I'm asking you to give the gift of the vote. South Georgia is all on you. Let's show up at the polls and turn this Senate blue.
This song is very difficult.
gentlemen, please help us maintain social distancing practices by staying in or within arm's length of your car. If you must exit your vehicle, please keep your mask on at all times. Tune your car radios into 89.7 FM to hear the live broadcast.
Come on, Valdosta, let's let this state know that we're about to win an election. So, thank you. Somebody told me this was a city of championships. This was a county of championships. I'm going to be proud to be your next public service commissioner. So, Lowndes County, if you're ready to show Georgia that it takes more than just Atlanta to win an election, I want you all to celebrate with me because we have 2 United States senators to elect. How good does it feel to say President-elect Biden? The last message from a very dear friend of mine who led this county for a long time, Mr. Andy Anderson, on the night after I won the primary, he said, Valdosta has your back. And he said to me, he said, Daniel, we're going to support you. And the first place I came when I decided to run for the Public Service Commission last year was Valdosta. And I want you all to know that since he's passed away, I wanted to keep my promise and come right back to Valdosta because you guys helped me get this far. In the state of Georgia, we pay the 5th highest electric rates in the country. We have the 8th highest utility rates. On average in the United States, 5% of a person's paycheck goes to their utility bill. But in Georgia, 18% of our paychecks go to paying a utility bill. In Georgia, too many of our children have been left behind because they lack access to wireless broadband and high-speed internet. But Valdosta, we know that Georgia's a big state. And we can't have success and prosperity in one region while leaving South Georgia behind. And we have an opportunity to change that narrative, not just for our children, not just for our communities, not just for our neighbors, but as Georgia sits in the center of the political universe and many people are questioning if Democrats are going to show back up from what we did on November 3rd, my question to you would be just to look around and to see how excited we are. Now, I should have said this earlier, and I've got 1 or 2 more minutes, and I'm going to let the man of the hour, who we are here for today, to show up for and to support. But to all of our military families, Trivia, she just basically took my thunder a little bit. But I carry this around, you can't see it, but my father was a United States Army Ranger. And I want to thank all the military families, their spouses, and their children for their service. So here's where I want to close. Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to leave you with. Today is the beginning of a long road. And on January 5th, we're going to elect those 2 U.S. senators, and we're going to send me to be Georgia's first statewide Democrat in almost 20 years. But the real work begins on January the 6th. The real work begins the day after the runoff, because too many Georgians have been left behind and have waited this long. It's my esteemed opportunity to introduce someone who we all know. At least we've gotten to know him over the last few months. A gentleman whose integrity and whose family and his story outshines his opponent who is too scared to debate him. A gentleman whose wife has given her life and her time in the medical field while we are on the front line of a pandemic. Someone who's given up time and energy to fight for this state, to pass the civil rights bill that protects our interests, to expand health care to this part of the state. And a gentleman who I'm proud to say has become a dear friend of mine. It's my honor and my privilege to introduce your next U.S. Senator, John Ossoff. Commissioner Daniel Blackman. Valdosta, can you hear me all the way in the back? Valdosta, the polls are open. The polls are open, Valdosta. So I want you to say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. Say vote. Valdosta, think about how far we've come. Think about how far the American South has come. Think about how far the state of Georgia has come. The most competitive battleground state in the country, hosting 2 United States Senate runoffs to determine control of the United States Senate. Georgia, we have the power to make history. We have the power to make history. So Valdosta, say it again with me now. Say vote. Say vote. Think about how far we've come. That your standard bearers in these historic runoffs are the young Jewish son of an immigrant mentored by John Lewis and a black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Georgia, think about how far we've come. And I bring greetings from my friend and one of Georgia's 2 next United States Senators, a moral leader for our state and for our country. Give it up for Reverend Raphael Warnock, Valdosta. We have the power, Georgia. And we're running against the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption. How did we wind up with David and Kelly? How did we wind up with 2 United States senators who, while they use their offices to enrich themselves, see fit to obstruct relief for working Georgians? How did we wind up with David and Kelly, Valdosta? I'll tell you this, retirement is coming for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, Valdosta.
Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Maybe you're feeling right now in your heart, for the first time in 4 years, the same thing that I am. We almost forgot what this feels like. That's called hope, Lowndes County. That's called hope. Because Valdosta, Donald Trump is leaving. And Georgia sent Donald Trump packing. You did that, Valdosta. He may not know it yet, but Donald Trump is leaving. The fog is lifting. The fog is lifting. We can raise our eyes to the horizon again and dream about what's possible instead of just the disaster that we must prevent. We have the power, Georgia, to write the next chapter in American history. We have the power as Georgia voters to make history, to determine the course of history. We have the power as Georgians to do that. And we should be guided by a commitment to securing health and jobs and justice for the people, for all the people. Health, jobs, and justice for the people, Valdosta. Let's talk about health. In the midst of a pandemic that's taken more than 300,000 American lives, a virus that David Perdue, while he bought stock in manufacturers of vaccines and medical equipment, told the rest of us was no worse than the flu. We can beat this virus, Valdosta. We can empower doctors and scientists and Georgia Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We can make sure that every single American gets free testing and vaccines. We can beat this virus and get our daily lives back, Valdosta. Health for the people. Valdosta, do you believe like I do that health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it or who live in the right zip code? Health care is a human right, Valdosta. I was just in Cuthbert, Georgia yesterday. They lost their hospital in October, in the middle of a pandemic. One of 9 rural hospitals to close in 10 years in this state. Where have our senators been? There is no excuse for the closure of a hospital that serves a rural community in the middle of a pandemic. No excuse. Because every single Georgian deserves access to the best health care in the world. And it shouldn't matter how much money we have or where we live, because we're Americans and we deserve the best health care in the world, because health care is a human right. But see, we face a terrible corruption in this country right now. Insurance companies and drug companies have been writing the rules in Washington so that working Georgians are ripped off every day at the pharmacy. Insurance companies finding every excuse to deny our claims, sending us surprise bills 6 months after a hospital visit. It doesn't have to be this way because health care is a human right. So Valdosta, if you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will deliver the resources to reopen those 9 rural hospitals and to open 10 more. We will build clinics to serve every community across this state. We'll stand up to the insurance and drug companies to make health care affordable for every Georgian, because health care is a human right. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people. You really laid on the horn there. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people, Valdosta. Let's talk about jobs. It's been 8 months. 8 months since our United States Senate passed relief for an American people suffering so badly through no fault of their own during this pandemic. Small businesses here in Lowndes County and across the country operating at 20 or 30% capacity. Millions of people losing their jobs. Families with credit cards maxed out. Can't afford the rent and the prescriptions and the car payment and college for the kids. Where is the United States Senate at a moment of crisis like this? We deserve better, Valdosta. And our two senators who have been treating their Senate offices like their E-Trade accounts have been blocking direct stimulus relief for the people who pay their salaries. That's not right. There were senators in both political parties today who gave speeches in Washington about the urgency of sending another round of $1,200 stimulus checks directly to the people. Senators in both parties. You know who wasn't speaking on the floor of the U.S. Senate on our behalf? David and Kelly are nowhere to be found. David and Kelly need to stand up for $1,200 checks to go to the people of Georgia right now because we're hurting and we need help. They need to send relief to our small businesses right now. No more excuses. No more waiting. Even at a moment like this, they're trying to bid it down. Y'all ever notice that there's always money for giveaways for wealthy donors? There's always money for bailouts for investment banks. There's always money for war. But then when it comes time to expand the Pell Grant program so that every Georgian can afford a 4-year college degree at a public college or an HBCU without debt, or when it comes time to build hospitals and clinics, suddenly David Perdue says the country is broke. We deserve better, Georgia. And we have the opportunity now to pass the most ambitious infrastructure, jobs, and clean energy program in American history. We can upgrade our public schools. We can expand broadband internet and cell access to every community in this state. We can build those health clinics. We can upgrade transit and transportation so that we can get around our communities and farmers can get their harvest to market. We can make America the #1 producer of clean energy in the world, and Georgia the #1 producer of clean energy in the American South. We can create tens of thousands of jobs while we save our planet. We have the power to make that happen. I want y'all to believe in what's possible. I want y'all to feel hope again. And most of all, I want us all to work these next 3 weeks to get out the vote so that we win and we can deliver for the people of this state. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people. It's really not that complicated, what we need. Affordable housing, affordable health care, education without debt, dignified work that pays a living wage, equal justice under the law. It's not that complicated. We can raise the minimum wage to $15 so that working people in this state who do an honest week's work can not just survive but thrive. Georgia, we have the power to do that. But look, here's the truth. If Mitch McConnell holds the Senate, you know what they're going to do. They will try to do to Joe and Kamala exactly what they tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the investment in infrastructure and jobs and clean energy that we need. They will block the $15 minimum wage. They will block civil rights and voting rights. We can't let that happen, Valdosta, because we have too much good work to do for the people. And we have the power. We have the power to ensure that this work gets done. Health, jobs, and justice. Let's talk about justice, Lowndes County. See, my mother came to this country as an immigrant when she was 23 years old, alone as a young woman. That takes courage. She came here because she believed in the ideas that this country represents. The ideas that generations of Americans Americans have fought for. Thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for what you've done for our country. Thank you. Thank you. My mother came here because she believed in America. Let's be very clear, that doesn't mean that she believed in some fantasy about our past. That doesn't mean that she didn't recognize how much further our country had to go. What she believed was that this was a country on a journey of progress, a journey toward full realization of our founding ideals of equality in God's eyes and equality under the law. That's the idea that's drawn millions of immigrants to our shores. That's the America that we believe in, Valdosta. The 14th Amendment of our Constitution already guarantees equal protection under the law, but that is not the reality in America today. When Ahmaud Arbery is shot to death in broad daylight in the street on camera in Glenn County, Georgia, and the local authorities look the other way because he's a young black man, that makes a mockery of equal protection under the law. And Valdosta, we have the power to pass a new Civil Rights Act to secure equal justice for all Americans, regardless of race and regardless of class. We have the power to pass a new Voting Rights Act to secure the sacred franchise for all people and end voter suppression. We have the power to do that. When John Lewis and Hosea Williams and Amelia Boynton led hundreds across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama in 1965 into billy clubs and dogs and fire hoses, their courage, their sacrifice, the sacrifices of those who bled and died for civil rights and for the franchise, paved the way for passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The next 2 years can be the most productive for civil rights and voting rights legislation since 1964 and 1965. And then we will look back on the peaceful mobilization after the murders of Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd as our generation's march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, as our generation's civil rights movement to secure equal justice. We have the power to make all of this happen, Georgia. The whole country is watching us to see what we'll do right now. I appreciate you. The whole country is watching to see what we'll do right now. So let's be motivated by love for each other, by compassion and decency and kindness and a commitment to human rights. Let's turn the page on these 4 years of fear-mongering and hatred and division. Let's show the country what Georgia stands for. Georgia stands for health and jobs and justice for all the people. So Valdosta, are you ready to work? Are you ready to vote? Are you ready to organize and mobilize and knock on doors and make phone calls like you've never done it before to make history, to elect 2 new United States senators to represent us in Washington? We have the power to do this. I want to recognize some people who serve your community and have brought us together today. First of all, once again, join me in honoring Daniel Blackman, your next Public Service Commissioner. I want to thank Rabbi Moshe. I want to thank Reverend Bruce Francis. Give it up for the Rabbi and the Reverend. I want to thank Alma Young of the United Farm Workers. And I want to thank all of those who work in the fields in this state to keep us fed in some of the most brutal conditions of labor on earth. I want to thank Vivian Miller-Cody, City Councilman and County Democratic Chair. Where's Vivian? Thank you, Vivian. I want to thank Dr. Treva Gear, an Army veteran, educator, candidate for State Senate. And Valdosta, most of all, I want to thank you. for your love and your energy and your passion. Now these next 3 weeks, let's leave it all on the field, Valdosta. No regrets. It's time to win. Thank you so much. I love you, and have a great night.
This is to get 2 free press George Boston Lions in Valdosta, Georgia. YouTube Boston G.B.R. We report what others ignore. For more of my videos, go to Boston G.B.R. or GeorgeBostonLions.com. Also, check out my book. Amazon.com. Tribute to an unknown soldier. Tribute to an unknown soldier. Y'all have a nice night, and let us be a blessing to one another. Let's stop talking about God bless, and let's be a blessing ourselves to our own brothers and sisters and kings. Let me How you doing today, bro?
Doing good, man. I'm gonna say goodbye to you.
All right, bro. How you doing today?
Oh, hey, you gotta bring it down a little bit.
I've been with this brother here a long time. What's your name?
Limlock.
Hemlock. We follow each other, huh?
Yes.
Oh, have a good day, my brother.
Yes, sir.
God
Thank you very
bless.
much.
All right, sir. All right, bro, man. Good, good. Hey, how you doing? Good. Excuse me.